Last Alibi, a deep dive into trust, guilt, and moral collapse. What if your best defense was a lie? What if your freedom, your reputation, your entire life depended not on the truth, but on the last person willing to lie for you? Welcome to The Last Alibi, not just a story, but a disturbing mirror to the fragile boundaries between justice and deception. In today's video, we won't walk through scenes or tell you what happens. Instead, we'll explore what it all means, ethically, emotionally, and psychologically. What is an alibi? It means elsewhere. It's a claim, a shield, a way of saying, I wasn't there, I couldn't have done it. But in The Last Alibi, the concept transforms. It becomes something darker. Not proof of innocence, but proof of manipulation. Not a fact, but a favor. When your alibi is a lie, you're not protecting the truth. You're building a house of cards, hoping no one breathes too hard. When truth stops being enough. In an ideal world, truth leads to justice. But The Last Alibi presents a different picture. What if truth is powerless without support? What if the truth is inconvenient, ugly, or lonely? This story doesn't revolve around whether someone did it. It revolves around whether they can prove they didn't. And if they can't, who will speak for them? When someone steps in and says, I was with them, that statement becomes more powerful than any fact, even if it's false. Guilt and accountability. People in The Last Alibi aren't all cold-blooded criminals. They're relatable, real, flawed. Many are guilty, not of the original crime, but of what they did after it happened. The cover-up, the silence, the complicity. Guilt is private. Accountability is public. One eats at your conscience. The other can destroy your life. And sometimes, people will go to great lengths to avoid both. The collapse of trust. Trust is the invisible thread in The Last Alibi. Trust between friends, lovers, colleagues. But what happens when trust is used as a weapon? What happens when someone asks, please, lie for me? Do you say yes out of loyalty? Do you hesitate out of fear? Do you question everything? When trust becomes a currency, it's no longer sacred. It's transactional. And eventually, it runs out. The burden of knowing. Sometimes the worst position isn't being the accused. It's being the one who knows. You know what happened. You know the truth. You know someone is lying, maybe even on your behalf. In The Last Alibi, silence isn't just a decision. It's a sentence. Living with a secret becomes its own punishment. The longer the lie survives, the heavier it becomes. The ethics of loyalty. We often say we'd do anything for the people we love. But where's the line? At what point does loyalty become betrayal? You might protect a friend from being caught, but in doing so, are you betraying justice? You might help someone avoid consequences, but at what cost? To others? To yourself? The Last Alibi forces us to confront the idea that loyalty can be noble. Lies as lifelines. Not all lies are told with malice. Some are told out of desperation. To save a life, to salvage a future, to delay the inevitable. But a lie, even with good intentions, remains a lie. In The Last Alibi, we see how one small lie, one seemingly harmless fabrication, can snowball into something uncontrollable. A lifeline becomes a leash, and the person who once protected you now owns you. The legal gray area. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The justice system isn't built on truth. It's built on evidence, on statements, on testimony. If your alibi is solid even if it's false, you might walk free. The Last Alibi doesn't just question the morality of individuals. It questions a system that allows lies to work. How long can you lie before you become the lie? One of the most disturbing effects in The Last Alibi is what happens internally. Characters don't just lie to others that it was justified, that they had no choice. But self-deception is a slow poison, and eventually it erodes everything: your integrity, your relationships, even your sense of self. A question for all of us. What if your honesty could destroy them? Would you offer your truth, or become their last alibi? There's no easy answer, and maybe that's the point. The Last Alibi reminds us that prison bars aren't the only kind of confinement. We're not here to judge. We're here to ask the hard questions. Because in the end, the only thing more dangerous than a lie is needing one, Have you ever been someone's alibi or needed one? If this video got you thinking, hit the like button, subscribe, tap the bell icon so you don't miss our next video.